Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
And this is Jay, and thank you so much again for being with us as we take this 2-hour journey through Friday afternoon. First thing, of course, first bit of business is to wish everyone a very, very wonderful Thanksgiving. And hopefully you get a 4-day weekend. I don't. But then again, I never have, so I'm not used to that. But what I do for a living, this gig does give me a lot of leeway as to when I work. So people say, oh my God, you're working on Sunday again. Well, you know what? Maybe I didn't work on Tuesday. So I feel pretty lucky for that. So let's be thankful for everything we possibly can, especially for being alive and hopefully well. So welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490, where we contemplate retirement and how to best prepare for that retirement and how to best stay successfully retired. And we have a great guest today in Valerie V. I think you have heard her if you've been around listening to the show for a while. She's really a great person, comes up with some great ideas. And we don't know what she's going to talk about today, but we're going to find out. So remember to absolutely meet your retirement needs, top off your tank so you can make it all the way. Oh, and speaking of Thanksgiving, let me show you. You know, we've shown you these cards by Gail Maxwell before, and here's a lovely. It's a great one. How's that? That's better. That sounds better for a mensch like me. And it sparkles, and it's three-dimensional, and look at what it's got inside. That's pretty cool, huh? I think so. And one thing, excuse me, I feel like reading, I'm sure it's okay with her. She says she's going nuts with the phone calls to refinance her loan, her reverse mortgage. If I had a nickel for every time, she'd be rich. And that's true. And you know what else? That's true for us too, right here, because I have a reverse mortgage. And boy, do we get bombarded with. Now, Gail cannot do that right now, her and her husband, Harry, because they don't have the proper equity, but they're doing fine as is. And I can't redo mine either if I wanted to. So these people that send out all these cards, letters, and phone calls, they really don't know what your situation is. They just want a phone call. And sometimes I pick up the phone, you know, it says scam likely or whatever. Sometimes I pick up the call and talk to them because I can't do that kind of cold calling. It's not me. So, you know, I wish them luck and, you know, tell them, you know, keep on chugging. But remember that the future is now. And why is that? It's because knowledge is power. And our phone number is 866-955-2233, 866-955-33. There you go. It's visual also. You know what else I didn't do? I didn't start my Facebook thing, but I'll start it on the second half then instead. So there. And this, of course, Dr. Heckham, this is a way to get on the wonderful website. And I'll brag a lot about it because it's very, professionally done. It's got some really good stuff there. A lot of good information, and you can gather a lot of information, look at a lot of videos without having to talk to me, although talking to me ain't a bad thing. But, you know, some people don't like to talk too much. Dr. Heckham, of course, DRHECM, Home Equity Conversion, or you can, of course, just go to the name of this radio show, which is theeducatedretirement.com. And once you're there, you'll see, like I said, a lot of videos, a blog, which usually has the script to this show with the nostalgia on it. And of course, there is a link also to the YouTube station to watch all of the shows, but you can do that too on the KMET uh, website. And there's a link also to the KMET site on my website on the front page. You just click down. It says "Watch Live" or other shows, and you're not limited to just watching and going over my show. You can listen to, watch other people's shows that are here on KMET. So we do need to give a shout out, like we do all the time, to Let Grandpa Speak, which is a show here every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. It's the best way to start your weekend with a good, happy mood. And don't forget the West Coast Review with Daryl McCants. And he is actually a repeat offender. He was on last week. And he is on every teleshon so that I don't screw it up again. Wednesday, right?
Wednesday at 4.
That's correct. And you know what? As long as you're there, Sean, I wanted to. I haven't watched or listened to this show yet, but I'm planning on doing it. Isn't there a show that has old radio programs on KMET?
I would have to look that one up. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll look it up, or anybody at the guest will too, and I'll report more about that next week. And Daryl always gives a plug for this show, along with Bill Morris of UCI fame, who has also been a guest on this show, and he's pretty much a regular guest on Daryl's show. So don't forget Don Siegel. Listen to me. That's a great director that did, of course, Evasion of the Body Snatchers and so many of the He did the Dirty Harry films and on and on. Anyway, Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show here on KMET Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. And I'm also pretty much a regular on his show. So remember, knowledge is power. And do I have a daytime job? I know you're saying he better. And yes, I do. It is at The Lone Source. And my NMLS number is 384565. Department of Real Estate number 792630. And as you know, I do not sell real estate. However, I like to stay on top of such things. So today is September. It is September. Excuse me. I don't think so. It is November the 19th. Can you believe that it goes by so fast? So what is today? Other than we're creeping up on Thanksgiving, it is Play Monopoly Day. Okay? So today we recognize the Parker Brothers board game that lands on Park Place and Boardwalk or even in jail. The game has been translated into 47 languages and over 300 different versions have been created. And I'm going to show you some of these, including Star Wars, Back to the Future, Beetlejuice. Boy, I got to see that Beetlejuice one. Doctor Who, Godzilla Monster Edition, to name a few. And, Kathleen,
Oh, you want this or?
No, these. Okay, and here is, I didn't mention this one, but 007 Monopoly game is right there. And looks like on the right side there, you get to see the little tokens for who you might want to be. And here is the Doctor Who. There you go. Thank you, Doctor Who. I love the looks of that, the colors and all of the good stuff on there. And my favorite, of course, as you probably would have guessed, Godzilla. Okay, Monster Edition. I remember when I was younger, much younger, and I don't know why it doesn't happen anymore. We used to get together with friends like on a monthly or so basis just to have coffee or maybe dinner, dessert, and a Godzilla. No, wasn't then regular Monopoly game, which could last for actually for hours on end. And did you know that Monopoly was originally based on a board game designed by a woman, Elizabeth Maggie, in 1902? And here's Elizabeth's picture. There she is. And she did not get credit until now. So there you go. So it was called the Landlord's Game, okay? And Charles Darrow, who initially was a domestic heater salesman, became the first millionaire game designer in history. He was falsely created with the original as the original inventor of Monopoly board game, and he claimed that he invented it in his basement. Darrow was considered the inventor until Ralph Anspach, Anspach, an economics professor, discovered Elizabeth Maggie's patents and her legal battle with the Parker brothers. Elizabeth already licensed her invention and received only $500 from Parker brothers for it, but none of the credit for Monopoly, $500 that would not have bought Park Place. She was literally deleted from the record. Anspach wrote The $1 Billion Monopoly Swindle, a book about the true record of the game and his legal fight over it. The book is described as a court-validated history of the game and the little guy who took on corporate America and won. Other unique editions of Monopoly: Lord of the Rings, which I don't have a copy of right now, Pirates of the Caribbean, Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, Stranger Things Monopoly. Now that's cool. I wonder when that's coming back. World of Witchcraft, A Christmas Story. Oh boy, we're getting ready for Chinese food again. Collector's Edition, the Christmas Story Collector's Edition, and another one, because you know I love Lovecraft, Cthulhu Edition, and a Ghostbusters Edition. So, who are you going to call edition, the Ghostbusters? Hasbro acquired or bought Parker Brothers in 1991. And on the 21st, you are encouraged to grab the rolling pin and cookie cutters and make yourself some gingerbread cookies, because the 21st is National Gingerbread Coffee Day, and I love gingerbread cookies. So there. Maybe even gingerbread man cookies. What is the gingerbread man story? Anyway, here you go. I know you've been waiting for this. Here's the fable. The place of origin is England. An old woman and her husband lived alone in a cabin buried deep in the woods. They were isolated from the village, and they had no children. The woman got an idea that she would make a boy out of gingerbread. As she pulled her creation out of the oven, the gingerbread man literally jumped from the pan and fled the cabin. The woman and her husband chased after it. Here's a little video thereof. Video. Well, okay, it's a still, but since I'm moving it, let's make it a video. So, okay. The man ran into a cow and an owl. Both said they were hungry. The man sang, "Run, run, as fast as you can. You don't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." He then was approached by a fox who said, that is, the gingerbread man was approached by a fox who said he wasn't interested in eating the man, didn't believe him, stood in amazement, and the fox gobbled him up. That's it. A similar German fable tells a story about a runaway pancake. It must have run into my mouth because that sounds good right now. There are also stories about a runaway tortilla. Anyway, where's the tortilla? There you go. And if I had more teeth, I would eat it right now. Anyway, there's the runaway pancake. Another great. I'll make that a video too. Let's have him running after him. Anyway, I love these pictures. They remind me of the books I read when I was I looked at anyway when I was a kid. So let's try to get a birthday in before we take our break, and that famous birthday would be Tom Haddon, and he was actually born 1926, and he left us in 2019. This was supposed to be on last week's show, but we ran out of time, so he's hanging around. Tom Haddon was an American radio, film, and television personality. And I have a picture, which is fairly small, but I think we can see him pretty well. And I think there he looks, we really recognize him and put him together with Popeye as much as we can. And he was a longtime host of the Popeye Show and Family Film Festival on KTLA Channel 5 in Los Angeles in the 60s. And Haddon was born in Jamestown, North Dakota. He served in the United States Navy during World War II and used the GI Bill to study acting at the good old Pasadena Playhouse, from which he graduated in 1950. We have a lot of people that went through Pasadena Playhouse. He started working as a broadcaster at KTLA in Hollywood as Skipper Tom in 1956, following Skipper Frank, who I don't remember.
I do.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take a look at this picture. Skipper Tom, there he is. Yep. And he presented the Popeye cartoons of the 30s as a skilled artist and cartoonist. He included how-to segments that taught us how to draw, and a lot of people learned, but I couldn't, the cartoon. Anyway, he taught how to draw cartoon characters. Actual children chosen at random from his mail appeared on each program and would create drawings from the skipper's squiggles on a large drawing pad. Now they call them iPads. Between 1978 and 1992, Haddon hosted a weekend afternoon family film feature of classic films from the 40s to the 60s. And during the breaks in the show, he would offer anecdotes about the film's history and even conduct brief interviews with cast members or crew members, a practice that originally predated the cable network's American Movie Classics and Turner Classic Movies. American Movie Classics was a good station. They kind of changed their ways mostly. I remember when they were first out there, they didn't have commercials. Then they put on commercials, and now they're really heavy into zombies. Let's show this other. This is kind of how I remember. This is a very good picture of how he looks. That's a looks, and that's a present tense and past tense conjugation, which you probably never heard before. But there he is. And Haddon starred in a few films, one with Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase in Spies Like Us, as well as episodes of the television show Gomer Pyle and Hogan's Heroes. And he passed away in 1992. So we have about 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, is NASA Nellie ready? Because this would be a perfect spot to bring NASA Nellie in before our break. That would bring us right up to break time. So let's listen for NASA Nellie. Let's listen for her retro rockets. I don't hear them yet. Where are they? Because we need to... Okay, take it away, NASA Nellie.
The Levelland UFO Incident, November 1957. How could so many witnesses be wrong? Okay, how did this all start anyway?
Yeah.
It happened one night early in November near the small town of Levelland, Texas. In 1957, it had a population of 10,000 and located on the flat prairie of the Texas South Plains. Not many places for a large UFO to hide. Two farm workers, Pedro Saucedo and Joe Sala, called the Levelland police to report a UFO sighting. They told Officer A.J. Fowler that while they were driving, they saw a blue flash of light near the road 4 miles west of Levelland. Their truck's engine died and a rocket-shaped object rose up and approached the truck. Pedro said, "I jumped out of the truck and hit the dirt because I was afraid. The thing passed directly over with a great sound and rush of wind. It sounded like thunder and my truck rocked from the flash." An hour later, 4 miles east of the city, motorist Jim Wheeler reported a brilliantly lit, egg-shaped object about 200 feet long sitting in the road blocking his path. He claimed his vehicle died. 10:55 p.m. A couple, while driving northeast, reported that they saw a bright flash of light moving across the sky and their headlights and the radio died. 5 minutes later, 11 miles north of the city, another witness, Jose Alvarez, claimed to meet a strange object sitting in the road and his vehicle died until the object departed. At 12:05 a.m., driving 10 miles east, Texas Tech college student named Noel Wright was surprised when his engine began to sputter. The motor started cutting out like it was out of gas, rolled to a stop, then the headlights dimmed and went out. When he got out to check, he saw a huge egg-shaped object sitting in the road. Once it took off, his engine started running again. 12:15 a.m. Officer Fowler received another call, this time from farmer Frank Williams. He claimed he had encountered a brightly glowing object sitting in the road. As his car approached it, its lights went out and the motor stopped. Once the object flew away, the motor started up again. 12:45 a.m. Other callers, James Long and Ronald Martin, two different instances, reported seeing a brightly lit object sitting in the road in front of them. Same story. Cars stopped, their headlights went out, and the object took off. By 1:45 a.m., even Levelland police officers themselves saw a brilliant red object. Their vehicle's lights and engines sputtered. Same story. The Levelland sightings received national publicity and were soon investigated by Project Blue Book. The Air Force investigator concluded that a severe electrical storm, or probably ball lightning or St. Elmo's fire, was the major cause for the sightings. They claimed that the engine failures were blamed on wet electrical circuits. Ufologists James E. McDonald and J. Allen Hynek disputed the Air Force ball lightning electrical storm explanation. Both men argued that there were no storms in the area when the sightings occurred. There was no lightning, barely a trace of a drizzle, and ball lightning itself never exceeds more than a few feet in diameter and a few inches around. Hynek said that there was an absence of evidence that ball lightning can actually stop cars and put out headlights. The UFO experience includes bold claims like alien abductions, such as the Betty and Barney Hill and Travis Walton abduction stories. UFOs have damaged property and even injured the witnesses, such as the Cash Landrum UFO encounter and the Falcon Lake incident. The Deputy Val Johnson case is among those reports from very credible witnesses, like the Officer Lonnie Zamora UFO incident and the event at Rendlesham Forest, with so many witnesses and credible documentation. Experienced pilots have reported UFOs time after time, all starting with Kenneth Arnold in 1947, the Japan Airlines cargo flight, and up to the present day with all the tic-tac video evidence. The Levelland case is considered by ufologists to be one of the most impressive in UFO history, mainly because of the large number of witnesses involved over a short period of time. This UFO incident remains to be unexplained and has been the subject of numerous articles and television programs.
Well, thank you so much, NASA Nellie. You know, that's one I hadn't heard before. So let's listen for your retro rockets because it's time for our break. Thank you so much. Stay with us. Valerie's coming in just a couple of minutes, and you'll hear from me soon. So thanks very much. Take it away, Sean. Welcome back to the Educated Retirement Radio Show here on KMET 1490. And we've got a very special guest who is a repeat offender. That line comes from Ron Siegel, of course. And at least I didn't call him Don Siegel this time. But Valerie V is with us. And Valerie, well, I'm not going to talk too much about her because I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself for those that haven't heard her before, but she's a fascinating person. She has a lot of different things about business and life, and I always love talking to her. So to have her on the show is a real treat also for us. So what I'll do is shut up now, which, as you all know, it ain't easy for me, but I will. And we'll let Valerie introduce herself and get rolling. So go ahead, take it away, please, Valerie.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving. How exciting. Hard to believe that it's already Thanksgiving, almost Christmas. I'm Valerie V. I am from Southern California in the Orange County area. I have been a real estate broker for years in the real estate business my whole adult life, and you can see how long that's been. So I not only sell homes, we do property management, we manage vacation rental properties, help people set up their Airbnb businesses, and also have a mortgage business. So we keep ourselves pretty busy here, and we'd love to service any of you. So today I'm really, really pleased and honored to be here with Jay and with his audience. Hopefully that we can bring some value and help you all figure out your life issues that we can advise on right now.
That's one thing I love about Valerie, life issues. I mean, when we start talking about business and we end up with life issues, and what good is any business if your life issues aren't working out? And I remember one of the first programs Valerie was on was when we were just starting the lockdown for the first time with the COVID, and she talked about pivot points and things like that. And, you know, I watch that show over every now and then because it's so good. But we'll start with business. So go ahead, Valerie, and tell us about your various businesses and what they actually do. And then even during that time or after that time, you know, I know you've got great ideas that have a lot to do with your businesses. So go ahead and let's just for the sake of structure, let's go ahead and talk about your businesses and then take free for all after, you know, with that and after that.
Okay, well, that's a great idea. Thank you very much. First of all, my real estate business is what I've spent the majority of my adult life doing. And people ask me, what's my why? My why is solving problems, negotiating deals, and protecting people and helping them have the best solution to their real estate situation, whatever that is, if they're buying or selling. I think that we're pretty good at that, Jay. As you know, we've done a lot of business, and that doesn't make us smarter. It just means that we've got a lot of experience, and often people will call me and ask me for advice on their real estate transactions. There isn't much that we haven't been through. You and I both have been through a lot together. And then several years ago, I started managing vacation rental properties. So a lot of people refer to them as Airbnbs, although Airbnb is only a portal, an advertising portal. But a lot of people not only like staying in Airbnbs, they enjoy them as an alternative to staying in a hotel. But many people have actually purchased homes for the purpose of a second home. It used to be, Jay, that people, when you talk about people having second homes, those was only for the rich and the famous. Only rich people had second homes. They had second homes in Boca Raton or in Florida or someplace like that, or in New York or on the East Coast, some in Palm Springs. But now, because of Airbnb and VRBO and the opportunity to rent those to vacationers, it makes a lot of sense for people who aren't rich and famous to be able to own a second home. So what it means for them is they can have a place to go to when they want to get away, and also they can make money on and have an investment home. So it makes sense for them to be able to buy one because all of a sudden it's affordable, things that weren't affordable before. So for example, I have a family in the Middle East who want to have a place to come every summer. and I have another family that wants to come from China in the winter. So they own second homes here that we rent year round, and that we just reserve them for the dates that they're here. So they have a house to go to, and they were able to buy something. It makes more sense, especially today's interest rates. So people should think of that. And, you can help them with a reverse mortgage, how they can buy an investment home. And then this is a way that they can use it. A lot of people think, well, if I buy an investment home and then I rent it out, number one, it's going to get trashed. And number two, then it's not available when I want it. So renting it out is we call it a short-term rental, or as an Airbnb is a great solution. Then as a part of that, of course, we do regular property management, but we also do the management for people who come for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, and then for people who come for 30 days. And in addition to that, then of course, as you and I know, we work together in the mortgage business. So I help people with their loan mortgage solutions, helping them either refinance. Right now, everybody who's at least 3% or over should be refinancing. There's no reason not to refinance right now. And that gives us another opportunity to help people. So we have our clients have been with us for a long time. We appreciate them very much. We love that they come back to us, and we're able to help them with more than one facet of their real estate portfolio, so to speak.
Yeah, I know. I remember that was such a great, and again, this is not an infomercial for reverse mortgages, but I appreciate when you do bring it up, because you bring up so many great ideas. And even if you're a young tyke and there's no reverse mortgage whatsoever involved, you can still look at refinancing to pull cash out at these rates today and buy a second vacation, Airbnb, whatever you want to call it. And you can get income from that. If it's a reverse mortgage, you get income from that, and you still have your own home. And depending on how much equity you don't have a payment on either property. But with today's rates, even having a payment is not going to kill you, perhaps, because what Valerie can get for you for the rental on the temporary or permanent rentals can very easily match or even overcome the current interest rate payment on that property, correct?
Correct. But the great thing about having these is a lot of people think, well, I don't want to have a short-term rental. I don't want somebody different coming in and out all the time. I don't want to have somebody in there every 3 or 4 months. But actually, we can show you that our homes are better maintained than if you put a 12-month renter in there. So you would say, so how can that be? How can that be when you've got people coming and going? You've got somebody that comes for 3 months, somebody else that comes for 3 or 4 months. How can they be better maintained than just having somebody there all the time? Well, that's because we're in them all the time. We have our professional housekeeper go there at least once a month. The homes are cleaned by our team. So what does that mean? That means that, number one, we keep them clean. But what else does that accomplish? That accomplishes that we're looking at them. We're seeing what's going on in those houses. So if there's anything that's a problem, anything that needs to be addressed, or any red flags or whatever, then we're in the houses. So it also is a situation where the people who are renting those homes aren't likely to put themselves into a situation where they're renting a home where they know that the owner is going to send somebody in there every few weeks to look at them. So the people we have are generally going to be much better quality tenants than
I
regular.
also find that if I'm staying in a hotel room, or if I've rented a place, a cabin or something in the mountains for the weekend, I want to keep it nice, because I know the owner of that place is going to remember me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I've lived there year round, that's like not part of it at all. It's like, it's my place, I pay the rent, and that's that. I can do whatever I want, and that's not always the case. But if you're in there a temporary period of time, you don't want somebody to remember that you're the one that did this or that to it, or
No.
drop the what I did once by mistake when renting a place in Arrowhead. It wasn't the 8-ball, but it was a billiard ball. I dropped it in the wrong place where, it took a plumber to come out to get it.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Oh, yeah. But we got it fixed before we left. So, they wouldn't think that I did it, even though I did, and I'm admitting it here to you.
So the other thing is that because these are short-term rentals, we're able to assign a different set of rules. So we can put an age limit, we can put an occupancy limit, we can limit the number of cars that are there. So we are able to put put different restrictions than otherwise you might be able to. So it's a great alternative. So if anyone really wants a second home, but they feel they can't afford it, most likely that's not the case. Most likely you can't afford it, and we can show you how that would work for you.
Yeah, and when I've talked to people over the many, many years, is that they don't want a rental property. They can understand the income they can get to it, but they don't want to mess with it. Well, you know what? I wouldn't want to mess with it either. In fact, if I bought a fourplex with a reverse mortgage, which I can do, and I can collect all of the rent from the others, I wouldn't even tell the others that I owned it because I don't want somebody knocking on my door in the middle of the night. I really recommend 100% of the time you hire a great property manager like Valerie, and then you can forget all of that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely.
Right.
So, so yes, that's another part of our business that is really worth looking at and making sure that that people know that option is available to them. And I understand them not wanting to manage it. So let us do that. Look at some of our other owners and see how they've benefited from this. We have several owners who own multiple homes that we manage. They never hear, we never hear from them. They're quiet, they're perfectly happy, they're satisfied, they're comfortable, they get their checks, no problems with the houses. And we are very, very, very proactive in not only maintaining them. I can relate to this because we have some out-of-state properties, and I have to be careful what I'm saying on public radio here, but we're concerned about the maintenance, and we keep saying to our property manager, we don't want our houses to look like they're rentals. Because we all know you drive down the street and you see a house and say, oh, that must be a rental property, right? And we don't want that. So we don't want that with the houses that we manage. We don't want it with the houses that we own.
So real quick, let's take a fast break to have you tell everyone how to get a hold of you.
I would love to do that. I can be reached at 714-334-9156. That's 714-334-9156. Or I have a very simple email. My last name is Vandesover, starting with a V. So my email is Valerie@ValerieV.com. That's Valerie@ValerieV.com.
Great, great. And we only really talked about one of your businesses so far. And of course, that took us off into a tangent of wonderful things that people have choices about. And that's, I think, a great thing in life is having choices. And that's what this is all about here, is having the choices to, to keep yourself happy, keep yourself unburdened with unnecessary things, and to have extra income. And you also sell real estate too.
We do. I have an office my office happens to be in Tustin. I've been in the same location for many, many, many years, about 20 years. I'm in a very busy corner right at the 55 freeway and 17th Street in Tustin. So that puts me actually within a close driving distance to LA County, to Long Beach, that area, as well as to Corona, Riverside, Cucamonga, Upland, Pomona, those areas, as well as Orange County.
And all the Inland Empire areas out as far as, because, our signal, as Daryl McCants would say, our signal is everywhere, well, everywhere. And actually it is because of the internet. But for live radio, I mean, it is the entire, a very large area that people can listen to. And since we're talking about real estate, what is your opinion, do you think, don't mean to put you on the spot, but what's your opinion of values continuing to increase or that kind of thing as the future becomes part of the current?
We So you may know my husband is an economist, so I hear the news at home at night. And honestly, what I see from non-family member economists, from people out in the industry, is that people honestly expect that next year is going to be a really hot year. I heard from one of the country's top agents recently that he believes that 2022 is going to be an incredibly hot year, one of the best years we've ever had. And you might say, well, how could it be better than it already has been? But it could be. I think that people are starting to realize the value of low interest rates and how important that is. And I think that it's going to be a good year next year. We may not see the same volume of offers. Maybe instead of 30 offers, we have 5 or 6, but that's still okay. And that's still enough. That's still enough.
It absolutely is plenty. And the rates are incredible now. So if property values are continued to increase, now is the time to buy something, right? Or if you're ever thinking of selling and buying or just selling, now is the time.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are saying, well, if I sold, where would I go? But think about, certainly there's great opportunities out of state to buy for much less than what your home is here. If you want to, a lot of people are thinking about maybe they want to go closer to where their children are, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, the Midwest, Florida, certainly. So that's one option. Another option is to downsize, or there's a new term that we talked about before that's called right sizing.
Yes.
Right sizing is maybe instead of a single-story house, you go into a 2-story house.
Or vice versa for older people.
Mm-hmm. Could be. So where you have a house that's more fit to your current needs.
Yeah, and your future needs. If you're an older person, you know that your mobility is probably to some degree going to be restricted more and more as time goes on. And boy, we are living a lot longer than we ever used to on the average. So, you want to make sure you're either in a home that fits that or that you have refinanced and you have the cash to be able to fix it up, put your elevator in or your stair. I want a stair lift. I just don't. I'm in a single story home, but those stair lifts look like they'd be a lot of fun. But what can I say? Single story home, I can't do much.
No, but actually my mother-in-law had a stair lift, happened to be in the Netherlands, in Holland. So she had a stair lift and it was convenient, and it really didn't, I would expect that it might really ruin your walls and everything, but it really didn't.
No.
You just attach it at the bottom, and it's in a steel frame, so it almost is self-sustaining, so to speak. Self-supporting is a better word, maybe, where you just attach it at the bottom, and it's fitted, shaped to be the curvature of your stairway,
Right.
or the square turn. And you just kind of set it in there like a separate frame inside the stairway and attach it again at the top. And it worked perfect. When she was gone, then we just took it right out and the house wasn't damaged at all.
That's great. I have a friend who actually started as a client. This was when I've done 2 loans now. This was when he purchased his place in Bel Air. They put a stair lift outside because they are on a steep slope.
Oh.
And his wife has some mobility problems and issues, and I'd be on it riding all day up and down all day long. But that was great.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So there's no reason not to have one. Like I said, I kind of would have thought that it would be a little bit unattractive or might spoil the look of the home, but in fact it didn't at all. And it was easy because you didn't rebuild the house. Like I said, it was just like a metal piece you just set in there. So then when you didn't need it anymore, you just took it out.
Right, and if you sold a house and moved, and it's a great thing to have if the people coming in would have a need or future need for it. And if not, you just take it out and take it with you, or, you'll need professionals to do that, but
Sure.
So be it.
Sure. So yeah, I definitely recommend that as an option to look at. But a lot of people also now, even, everybody isn't retirement and past retirement age. Some of us are still working. So to right size also means a place where you have an office in your home, or you have a room where you can work, or maybe you had a small office someplace else, or a studio, or you make something, and now you want to be able to be self-contained in your home. So now all of that can be done in your house. So you just need a house, maybe a 2-story or a 1-story, that can accommodate your needs and your hobbies.
Yeah, and that made me think about those extra units that are now legal regardless of zoning, that people can actually refinance, get cash out, do a reverse mortgage if you're that age, and build another unit.
Absolutely. So a friend of mine was in one of the cities this last week, and there were like 8 people in there at the same time who were all there to talk about building ADUs.
Yeah, that's
maybe
right,
we should
ADU.
address
That's
that.
right.
And maybe we should address that.
I think we should. We're getting near the end of our time, but I'm more than, it'd be great if you'd like to address that and then continue after the hour, if that's just up to you, though.
Well, that's up to you, but I think that
No.
if not today, let's talk about it again. Let's have
Okay.
another time we have a discussion about ADUs, because that certainly, I can tell you that's going to be a really hot topic.
Yes,
And
it should be.
I actually, just as a teaser, I was in Anaheim a couple of weeks ago, and the house had a big side yard, and an RV was parked in there inside the fence of the lot. And the neighbor said to me, "You know what that is?" I said, "Sure, it's an RV." And he said, "No, that's an ADU."
Wow.
And they were able to have their RV permitted as an ADU.
Wow.
They had to get a separate water meter for it
Sure.
to make it legally a separate unit. So I think that this is something people really will want to start thinking about. And even if you don't intend to make it so that you rent it out, having that as a valuable part of your real estate portfolio or configuration, so to speak, is going to be very, very, very valuable.
Wow, I never
And
thought
also,
of mobile of that. I'd love to have an Airstream out in the backyard, but I'd want to go into it too.
I know. I
But
never did either. But the other thing is to think about when you're buying a home, is to look at homes with large lots. Because if you ever wanted to add an ADU, you need to have a minimum square footage and minimum setbacks and so forth. So that's going to be another really hot button when people are looking at homes to buy.
yeah, I just don't think enough people know about the ADU situation yet. And
No.
basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're zoned for one unit, you can still have that ADU because of the supposed housing crunch. I shouldn't say
Absolutely.
supposing. There is a
Absolutely.
housing crunch. And, people are looking, and the government is trying to help with affordable housing. So, my God, what a great opportunity that is. But on the 2 minutes we have left, Valerie, before the hook comes out and pulls me off stage, and we start hearing the music like at the Academy Awards that you've talked too long, and sometimes I do. Let's make sure everyone has your contact information one more time.
Great. Okay, my name is Valerie Van de Zover. Best way to reach me is my cell phone. You can text me or call me at 714-334-9156, 334-9156, area code 714, or my email is Valerie@ValerieV.com. And thank you very much for having me. I look forward to our next discussion on ADUs.
Yeah, and remember, Valerie is available just for questions. Just call her up. Don't dive into things blindly or think you know everything, because, I'm a know-it-all, but I don't know much. And, call her. She's very pleasant, as you can see, with that smile. And, she'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. But we need to go now. And she's available for all of Southern California, if not so much more. So don't let, distance get in your way. She's no further away than your computer or telephone. So thank you so much, Valerie.
You're
welcome.
Look forward
to seeing you, hopefully in person within a week or so. We'll get together.
Yes. And
So-
many blessings to everyone for a happy
Thank-
Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you
Nice
again.
this year we can be together again.
Yes, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone as we go into our break and the news. And please stay with us. We'll be back very quickly.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan.